Welcome to Release Your Potential Now with Jane, your weekly dose of energy, wisdom, and healing, where we explore how energy shapes your life and how you can shift it to thrive in every area physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Each week, we'll dive into practical tools, real-world examples, and quantum energy perspectives to help you stay positive, navigate challenges, and reclaim your personal power. Whether you're dealing with stress, seeking balance, or curious about the energetic world around you, this is your space for insight, growth, and transformation.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to Release Your Potential Now with Jane. I'm your host, Jane Phillips. And this month, we've been exploring the theme of luck throughout the month. Last week, we explored how to take advantage of the spring equinox energy to set or reset your goals for this year, as this equinox energy provides a gateway to propel you forward into more abundance with more luck, with ease. So today's topics to round out the month are, its topic is signs, synchronicities, and spirit nudges, which I invite you to notice these messages as we go through. We're going to explore how these signs show up in your life and why recognizing these coincidences is important. So let's start with some basics. So what is a sign? A sign is anything that feels like a meaningful message to you from the universe, God, spirit, however you want to say it. And it could be something like a repeating number. A lot of people are noticing numbers. So a lot of people notice 1111, which for me is an angel number and is all about focus. If you're noticing a lot of 11s, you might be noticing the need to focus more. I see a lot of 444s or combinations of that on license plates, on addresses of houses, on the time on my clock. And 4s for me is angel support. And when I'm feeling a little bit low or out of sorts, I will often see a 444 telling me that I'm being supported. And then you might have a special number. I have a friend whose special number is 813. I can't remember what she told me it was for, but it's an alignment number for her. And so she sees that frequently. Another way that you might be getting a sign is you could have a song that plays on the radio just when you're thinking of somebody. Or as a case happened to me several years ago, I had a friendship with somebody that was not exactly perfect, and I wasn't really paying attention that it was time to end it. And there was a song that popped up on the radio as I was thinking about this that exactly answered my question, that I was maybe being taken advantage of and that I should not ignore that. And I was able to deal with things over time. It wasn't immediate, but it startled me because the song was so right on. And then another thing that can happen is you might see an animal, maybe a hawk flies right in front of your car. And when you're pondering a big decision. So what can happen is hawk's spiritual meaning, I had to look it up for this, symbolizes vision, intuition, focus, freedom, and the ability to see beyond the surface, encouraging you to gain clarity and pursue your purpose with laser sharp focus. So if you're noticing hawks, it's about focus and clarity. So these signs are like energetic Post-it notes from the unseen world for us. And they're reminders that you're not alone and that you're being guided, even if you don't have all the answers yet. And then there are things called synchronicities. And this is when it gets really fun. So a synchronicity is something in your outer world that aligns so perfectly with something going on in your inner world that it really surprises you. Like thinking of an old friend and suddenly they text you out of nowhere, or needing a new job and someone just happens to mention the perfect opportunity to you at a party. I had it more recently last year when I moved back to Santa Fe, New Mexico from Oregon, where I was for a couple of years. And I was staying with a friend while I was getting resettled. And I was thinking, well, I'm on a blow-up mattress in her house. and it was really kind that she's keeping me here, but I needed a better place to stay. And about a month into my stay with this friend, another friend called and said, I have a client of mine who is going to New Zealand for 3 months, not years, and she needs someone to house sit while she's gone. Would you be interested? And so I went and talked to this woman. It turns out it was a previous client of mine. And I ended up staying for 3 months over Christmas in her house and taking care of her plants and keeping an eye on the yard and everything, put Christmas lights up and everything. And the other piece that was really great is I had a friend coming to visit me from Oregon, and I was going to have to figure out where to put her because I couldn't put her in the house I was staying at. And I had a tiny house, and if I moved back there, it was going to be tough to have her stay. So I then had a place over the holidays where I could host her comfortably. The two of us had a great time. So those are like synchronicities, and actually, yeah, but a synchronicity also is well, anyway, we just explained that. So it's like divine timing in action. That's what a synchronicity is. And finally, there are spirit nudges. And these are more subtle. This is like intuitive hits or a gut feeling or a sense that something is important, like you need to go to this party and you really weren't in the mood. Or the other day I needed to go to Starbucks just for a cup of coffee, and I ran into somebody I hadn't seen in 10 years. And we ended up, I'm doing some business with her. And I can't explain why I felt like I had to go that late in the day. And she never shows up at Starbucks that late in the day, or twice. It was her second time there. And so sometimes you've got intuitive nudges. And so what we want to talk about is all these things that happen that it's time to start recognizing them. So how do you recognize when something is a sign versus a random thing? Because a lot of people that I talk to label, well, that was just a coincidence. Well, I'm of the belief that there are no coincidences ever. There's always, if it happens, there's a reason for it. Now, that does not mean you know what it means. I've had coincidences and I can't figure out what it's about. I've dated people that I thought, why am we dating? It's not necessarily the best relationship. But this is, and I at least explored it. So sometimes you're not going to know, but intuition meets attention. So you get the thought, you pay attention to the thought, and see what you need to do about it. And it's not always clear. It might be, well, I'm going to go to the party anyway, or you don't even think about it and you end up at Starbucks and you end up with somebody that you haven't seen in years and you end up doing business with them. So, but the idea is if you're getting these hits, it's really time to start paying attention to them. And you don't have to be psychic, although I believe everybody is in their own way, unique way. But it's important to pay attention when you get these things. And one of the easiest ways to start to bring your luck in is to ask, and to practice this, is to ask for a sign. Ask to be given something in advance and see what happens. So you're talking to the universe. So for example, tonight, you go to bed and you ask spirit or God or the universe or whatever, your angels, your guides, or even another loved one, you have someone who's passed who you know is with you, to send you a sign that maybe you're on the right path, or to ask them to give you information about what's the thing to do next. Just do it and then let it go for the night. You're done. And watch what shows up over the next few days. So it could be subtle. A feather, I get feathers from my great-grandfather who passed before I was born to show me that I'm on the right path or that he's thinking of me. He has family. I was born in Minnesota. That's where he's from. But he was an ornithologist, which is a bird guy. So he studied birds and created the Bell Museum in the University of Minnesota. And he has family down in New Mexico. His son worked at the Los Alamos Labs, and his extended family lives down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm up in Santa Fe. So you might get I get feathers. The ones I notice are for me. The ones I don't aren't, apparently. You might get a song, or that number we talked about, or the animal like the hawk, or there might be a sign on the billboard. And billboard signs are meant to be short, like seven words, so they'll capture our attention. But it might be just what you need to hear, and or it might be a conversation you overheard. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but it's going to feel meaningful to you. So the secret is the signs you get don't have to make sense to anybody else but you. They're specifically for you. And so a lot of times when you're with a friend and you say, "Oh, did you notice this?" And they go, "No, what?" That wasn't for them. That was for you. And another little story to kind of, for those of you who have lost people you care about, this is a little bit uplifting, I hope. So a friend of mine lost her husband several years ago to cancer. And because of my psychic abilities, after he passed, the moment actually after he passed, he was yelling at me to come to the hospital to support his wife. So I hopped in my car, and she just told me he passed. I might not have noticed otherwise, but he had passed. And after he passed, everywhere she went, she saw flocks of bald eagles, which she interpreted as a sign from her husband. And you may have had signs from people you love, or maybe not, but there are signs out there with our loved ones after they've passed. And in addition, when she went home, she frequently would be greeted by the smell of popcorn. She and her husband hosted movie nights with the neighbors each week. And another sign that he was with her was the popcorn smell, because they made popcorn every time they hosted a movie night. So once you start noticing these signs and synchronicities, your whole world begins to shift. And you move from life is happening to me, like if you're having bad luck or things aren't going well. And this doesn't prevent things from not going well, but you move from life is happening to me into life is happening for me. You begin to trust that there's a rhythm, a flow, and a conversation always happening between you, God, the universe. And that sense of connection, once you start feeling it, and I get to feel it because I've been working on this for a long time, it's one of the luckiest and most powerful things you can cultivate. It brings you comfort. It brings you clarity. Even if you're not getting clarity right away, you've got a sense it's coming. It brings you courage to take the next step, even when the outcome isn't fully known. And I've had multiple times, moments when I felt completely unsure. I may sound a little more solid right now, but we all go through those times. And then a phrase in a book or a sign on the street or the numbers will give me some encouragement that I'm on the right path. And just another little trick for you, if you're interested in this, if you're not sure how to cultivate getting messages less randomly, it still feels random, but I used to go to the library in the early days when I found out this trick. And while browsing, a book would pop on in my awareness, and I'd say, "Oh, I wonder what this book is about." And so I'd find this book, I'd open it up, and I would either thumb through or I would just open it up randomly, and a phrase or paragraph would grab my attention. And it would be the perfect answer to a question that I had at the moment. I often would go in with a question purposely to find the book that was going to give me my answer. Anyway, it'd be the perfect answer to the question I had. So I encourage you, if you want to experiment, because it's fun, give it a try. Head to the library or your local bookstore with a question you have in mind and grab the book that catches your attention randomly open it up and notice what catches your eye. See if that provides the answer you're seeking. So one of the things that we've talked about in the past is acknowledging things, the lucky things in our life. And there's a bit of gratitude when we talked at one of the earlier podcasts. So a little practice you can do, and you can do it now or you can do it after we're done with this podcast, is just take a deep breath and exhale, and do your breath with your hand on your belly so that you are breathing deeply, and then place a hand on your heart. And then bring to mind a recent moment that felt lucky, even if it was small. One of the things that comes to mind for the moment is I always pick up a penny or any loose change that's on the ground. It's most often pennies. And I had a client who was seeing these pennies and was always leaving them for the next person. Well, the universe wants us to receive as well as give. So I take the pennies, I have a jar of them. So bring the moment when you feel lucky. Maybe you found your perfect parking spot. You know you can pre-plan that, right? If you want a perfect parking spot, ask for one before you go somewhere and see how often you end up parking exactly where you need to. And maybe someone reached out to you when you needed a lift, right? That's a lucky moment. Or maybe a song on the radio gave you goosebumps because it resonated with you. But whatever it is, just feel it. And then say silently to yourself, thank you. I'm ready to notice more. That's it. That's your invitation. And when you practice gratitude, the universe sends you more of what you're grateful for. When you notice, the signs multiply. So if you've been having some issues with energy and luck and not feeling very lucky, I invite you to start focusing on the things that worked. And if you can't do that easily, write down the things that aren't working and choose the opposite. Make a little list. So one of the things, we've got a little bit of time. I've got about 5 minutes here that I wanted to add in to give you a little more flavor of what I do. Is I do energy clearing of people and places. I clear properties all over the world. I clear businesses and people. But I've learned through a previous podcast thing that I did that I could clear multiple people. So we're going to do a little clearing here. I want you to close your eyes and just get quiet and feel yourself kind of sinking into your chair. And of course, if you're driving, don't do this, or maybe walking, sit down. Just get calm. And I'm going to check everybody's energy field for possessions. And possessions are merely ghost type energies. It's not the demonic thing you think. Ghost type energies that are hanging on you because they like you better than where they were. And you will be a magnetic attraction to these energies. If you're depressed and they were depressed when they died, then they might come to you and say, oh, you're so depressed, and I was too. I want to hang out with you. And then somebody else says, oh, are we forming a depressed community? Can I join? And pretty soon you are already depressed, and now you're really depressed because now you've got 30 people on you, or 10. So there are a variety of reasons you can get these energies. One of them is if you're really stuck on the internet a lot, social media can bring darker or possession energies on you. So can being stuck in conspiracy stuff. Too much politics. We've got a lot going on to pay attention to, and it's hard to duck it. So those things can create situations where your vibrational match, where these energies actually come off the internet onto you. So just be sensitive. And I teach a class on this, but for right now, we're just going to do it for you. So I know you're getting quiet, and understand that these energies were not here to harm you. They landed on you because they felt companionship in some way. So if you were an angry person, you might be more angry. If you were depressed, more depressed. Anxious, more anxiety. All right. So Close your eyes and imagine that you have a white light vortex above your head. Just see a hole of white light. And for each of the energies that are on you, oh, I forgot to mention, if this is something that you're concerned about and you don't want to be involved with, block it or just quit the podcast. So I want to be respectful. Some people are not in alignment with what I'm about to do. So there's no reason that you have to listen. Just assume that you're not going to get it or clear. So you see a white light vortex above you. You're going to see each of these energies that's on you gets Archangel Michael, Mother Mary, Jesus, Archangel Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel, and 30,000 angels. And we now invite all of these energies to cross to the light to whomever would welcome them home with love and acceptance. And in your mind's eye, you're just going to see them all leave on a white light. And if you have any hidden possessions, I'm not going to explain this in detail. They get a blanket and bubble wrap for safety. And they get 50,000 angels, Archangel Michael, Mother Mary, Jesus, Archangel Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel. And we invite them to cross to the light to whomever would welcome them home with love and acceptance. And I use my pendulum to just help. And this might take a minute or two. So just relax into it as we finish up the podcast. So just understand, you're not alone on this journey of ours. And when you and I stay open, we receive more than just guidance. We receive confirmation that we're connected to something much greater than ourselves. So now for next week's podcast, which is Tuesday, April 1st, it's April Fool's Day, and we're going to lighten things up. The episode is called Laugh It Off, How Humor Helps You De-Stress and Heal. I'll be sharing the science behind why laughter is the best medicine and how you can use humor as a spiritual and energetic tool for releasing stress, raising your vibration. So don't miss it. Come back next Tuesday because healing doesn't always have to be heavy. Sometimes the path to clarity is paved with laughter. So until then, keep your eyes open for those winks from the universe. They're everywhere. And I'll see you next time. I'm Jane Phillips.
You've been listening to Release Your Potential Now with Jane, your weekly dose of energy wisdom and healing. Tune in on Transformation Talk Radio to unlock the power of energy healing and transform your life one insight at a time. Share this episode with a friend who's feeling stuck and might benefit from a little extra support on their journey. Together, we can create a ripple effect of healing and positivity, empowering individuals to live healthier, more joyful lives. Are you ready to gain control of your life and health? Then visit janecphillips.com to book a session, join a workshop, or explore how energy wisdom can help you heal and thrive.